Hey guys, welcome to the channel, Sonny here, and this change is so big it warranted its own video. So let's cover the hit reduction and the evasion and accuracy rework and so much more. DR changes, AP buff changes, all of this across the board. This one is a big one. First off, there is a big note here with a lot of information. Today we got the hit reduction. The number's not listed here, but I was on GLabs. I tested it out. They're there. It is applied. It also has a note saying it is. Huge changes. One to bring out is the Dragon's Breath from Awakened Dracania, the blue dragon. It went from 31 hits down to 5 hits, for example. Still the same total damage, still the same animation times and everything, but a huge improvement for the hit starter issues and performance issues we've been seeing. So really excited to see this. Right, all of the abilities have been reduced by around 70 to 80% compared to before. And they worked hard to make it not feel awkward here. But I think it may feel awkward at first because of the simplified feel. However, as this is an essential task for the better of the Black Desert game, we ask for a generous understanding from adventurers. And you know what? You got a G. Excited to see how this actually works out, but it might feel a bit different from abilities because of these adjustments. So it's something we have to get used to. Right, next is an overhaul of accuracy and damage reduction and the evasion system. The original plan was to make corrections by adjusting only the skill damage and accuracy and evasion to correspond with the less hits, but they had to basically rework evasion. There's a lot of like technical mumbo here, so I'll try to like just explain clearly what the changes is, how the systems work when we get to it. We're gonna skip this because it gets a bit, right, so here. First are the changes to the evasion system. Now, whenever you are rolling and evade, so you have evasion right and you dodge an attack. Instead of taking no damage, what it does now is it reduces the damage you take by a percentage when you roll that evasion, and that number gets adjusted by accuracy. In the case of your opponent having so much evasion that you literally have 0% hit rate, you will still hit at a 10% rate and you will still apply 10% of the damage. So you can't basically have a zero roll anymore, which will mean that the crazy outcomes of too much, too little and everything should be reduced. Next up is the bonus DR system. Now this here came out of pretty much nowhere. What this is depending on your sheet DP, you will get a bonus damage reduction. I'm not talking about the damage reduction rate that is staying in the game. The 30% the damage reduction rate at 401 DP is staying. This is an addition to that. Depending on your total sheet DP, you will also get flat DR bonuses, and it goes up high. We'll check the list here in a bit. On top of that, so basically this also means that both evasion and DR will get this, right? Next up is a change to damage reduction in super armors. All classes will be gaining a 10% damage reduction while using super armors, except some classes which will be gaining 15, 20, and 25% damage reduction. And we covered that list. It's not a lot of classes, but yeah, we'll cover that. Next up is a change to the accuracy, the damage reduction evasion tied to class items. They are going to make all classes have similar accuracy and the evasion and the DR, so less difference. For example, all classes are going to have around 20 to 25% accuracy, counting their skill, the base skill, and the accuracy buffs. It's going to be pretty much bang on for all classes between like 20 and 25%. So a big difference would then come from your gear. So they are buffing accuracy gear to basically compensate, put more of the total accuracy in the game over on your gear selection rather on your class choice. They are also changing the evasion shreds. So for example, Socksage is going to have a 9% evasion shred instead of an 18% evasion shred. Other classes are going to have like a 3% instead of 6%. So they're nerfing those as well, and they're also making them closer together. So there'll still be class differences in terms of your evasion, your DR, your AP, but it's going to be way smaller. So more emphasis is going to be on the gear choices to counter other classes and other builds. Next up is a pretty cool one here. Dance gloves, Ada shoes, and accuracy accessory have been adjusted upwards. We'll get to it, but Evasion gloves now has the full accuracy as well. They have 50 accuracy like the AARK gloves, so this is also going to be super nice for PvE when you're in Evasion build. Okay, to summarize, along with the number adjustment of hits, the following improvements is also made. To prevent the effect of evasion abilities from increasing too much, the areas where certain abilities were high only for different classes were adjusted, and the issue of dying too quickly in battle have been fixed. They're doing this by giving everyone a huge amount of flat DR, and also percentage damage reductions in super armors, and also some classes, shield classes, in blocks and front guards. Okay, so there's a lot of this, right? So I'll try to summarize it and explain it the best as I can while we go through the different sections. So bear with me. Adjustment number of hit skills, right? So the skill damage is going up. The number of hits are getting reduced. HP and mana regen has been increased to reflect the reduction of hits. So it should all work very similar to right now. They didn't forget anything so far, which is really good. Also, additional skills with recovery, like Shy Floor Leave, Nova Breath of Stars, the Irons and Dracania has been adjusted to compensate for the reduced hits as well. And skill add-ons, like Life Skill has been buffed as well to match the hit chain. So like all your life steal add-ons are also buffed to basically give you roughly the same. Next up is some changes here, right? They're removing all the max HP and also mana drain. Abilities that give damage based on enemies' max HP and their mana, and everything has been removed now. Those effects, they were already phasing them out. They've been doing that over this year. So they're just removing the last ones now. This one here is kind of huge, actually. BSR abilities, the 10, 25, and 50% will no longer proc skill add-ons. Your abilities add-ons currently work on your BSR. Cores don't, but they're removing it. Your 100% abilities do not proc add-ons. They're making 10, 25, and 50 the same, which is a huge nerf for some classes, like Awakening Warrior, that is using it for a down smash damage combo. But it is what it is, I guess. I'm not too happy about it. Okay, this one here is a Giga Chains coming almost out of nowhere. This is bonus DR depending on your sheet DP. And we tested it, it's sheet DP. This goes all the way up to 699, well, 691 sheet DP, and it gives a total of 120 bonus DR that. So if you're around like the 400 brackets or whatever, let's say that you are 420 DP, you're gonna get an additional 85 DR. So most in-game players are going to be getting between 81 right over 401 up to potentially 90, right, depending on what kind of buffs, or 87. So in the range of like 85, most in-game players should be expecting to getting just a bonus flat for nothing DR on top of it. And then, of course, it scales up slowly. So your full DP builds are going to get a big increase as well here. Over 100 potentially, right? Next up is accuracy and evasion systems. Oh, wait, first off, this is also for evasion class. It's all classes getting this. Accuracy and evasion system reworked. Okay, so there's a lot going on here. When evasion is successful, the damage is reduced according to the correlation between the evader's evasion and the attacker's accuracy. They don't show us the numbers here. So we don't know how it will feel on live. It's borderline impossible to test on global because of gearing differences and everything. But we'll see how it feels on live. But that's how it's gonna work. So when somebody evades, you will take reduced damage depending on some accuracy and evasion relationship. Even if the target's evasion is so much higher than the attackers, you are guaranteed at least a 10% hit rate and a 10% damage application. Then they're also adjusting the base accuracy of characters, which means at level 50, you get your last point of accuracy. Everyone is going to be getting some more accuracy, 34 more accuracy, I think. Again, this stuff here is a bit meaningless because we don't know how this will feel. We don't know the relationship of all of this, but clearly they're viewing that this stuff needs buffing to get a similar feeling. Also, do remember that they're adjusting accuracy rates of all classes and evasion threats as well. So we'll have to wait and see how it actually plays out. Next up is skill accuracy and summon rates. So they are giving all classes on all abilities for both specs a flat, fixed accuracy rate. So for my class, Warrior, all succession abilities, all awaken abilities, every single ability has a flat 16% accuracy. And then I have some accuracy buffs. For Awakening, it's Hill Strike for 9% to a total of 25, which is the base rate I have right now on my class. So basically, Awakening where I lost accuracy, my total available accuracy went down quite a bit. And for Succession, they gained accuracy. They still have the same 25%. And it's across the board. Summons as well. And basically, let me show you here like an example for Assassin. It has 0% accuracy on every single ability in the kit. However, it has now a 24% accuracy buff and two 21% accuracy buffs. So it's probably going to have more accuracy total than it does right now for both Succession and Awakening. So don't read too much into this. The basics of this is that every class is going to have between a total of like 20 and 25%. Most classes are going to land there, even Sage, right? Sage has 4.5% and it gets 18%. So the total Sage accuracy is less than Assassin. Sock Sage will have less accuracy than Assassin does. So it's going to be very close, right? And then you also have evasion threats later. So Sage actually ends up a bit higher than Assassin with the evasion threat added in, which is also nerfed. So basically all classes are going to have around like 20-25% accuracy in total. Next up here is the evasion and defense buffs, the DR buffs and evasion buffs. Big changes here as well. They are removing, basically, again, check the list for yourself for your own class and all, but the TLDR is all evasion classes lost any DR buff, and the DR buffs on DR classes got nerfed, except for Socksurger, which for whatever reason gained 20 DR. But pretty much every other DR class was nerfed by DR, and DR was removed from every evasion class. And then they, except for Socksurger for whatever reason. And then like they're fixing evasion rates, right? Stuff like that. So in general, all the numbers, the DR and the evasion buffs are nerfed across the board, except for Socksurger, which is doubled. There's probably a few more in there, but in general, it's a general nerf across the board. Okay, let's take the next one here. Evasion threats for all classes. Again, big nerfs here. Warrior went from 6 and 6 to 3 and 3. 9% to 3%. Ranger went from 12% to 3%. Like a lot of these nerfs. Let's look at the big one, right? Which is Sage. It went from 18% to 9%. So what they are doing is they are still having some class differences, but it's way smaller. They want more of your power and build value to come from your items rather than just being a class, and now you can ignore a stat. Like Sages could ignore accuracy for the most part. You can look through the list again for the details, but you have to keep everything in mind when you're looking at your class. Next up is a rework of Super Armor and the Forward Guard system. Super Armor reduces the damage taken by 10% by default. The exception to this is a couple classes here, right? Striker and Mystic gets a 25% damage reduction in Super Armor, and Socksurger also gets a 25% damage reduction in super armor. Awakened Warrior, Awakened Witch, Awakened Guardian gets a 20% damage reduction using Awakening skills only. Sock Corsair, Sock Valk gets a 20%. Scholar and Shy gets 20% as well. This here is Musa, by the way. They translate the same, we checked it, we confirmed. This is Awakening Musa. Awakened Ninja, Kuno, Maver, Awakened Valkyrie gets 50%. Sock Nova, Sock Warrior gets 50% when using Sock Skulls. And every other class gets 10% damage reduction in super armor. This effect does not apply to shield characters whose resistance is strengthened at the rear while guarding in the front. So in other words, this here does not work in Q blocks. Your super armor front guard Q blocks do not get this damage reduction. Additionally, some classes with a shield gets a bonus damage reduction when using front guards. Those classes are Sock Nova, gets a 60% damage reduction in front guard mode. Awakening Valkyrie, Sock Warrior, Sock Guardian are getting a 40% damage reduction, and Sock Valk is getting a 30% damage reduction in front guard. This here is basically all the things we just went through, summed up. Also, in this list, I do recommend checking it out. There are a few more changes, like, for example, PvP damage reduction. So basically for, say, Awakening Mystic here, it's going to get a bit more damage in PvP on these abilities. There's a few in there. It's very slight adjustments, but it is worth checking out. So that's the gist of it. If you guys have any questions, don't forget to drop a comment in the video here. I'll do my best to answer them, or drop by the stream at twitch.tv/bprimegaming. I'm excited to see where this goes, and I'll see you all in the next one.